Selections. And I think we're live. Hey, everyone. Dan Bauman here with the Designer Show on with John, Robin, and Renee. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining us. Let us know where you're hailing from today. Love to find that out. And feel free to ask questions anytime you want. So just type them in there and we'll get to them as best we can. So we've got an hour together. We're going to cover a few things today. Thought I would just spend a couple minutes recapping the trip we just had to beautiful Coeur d'Alene, where we were at the Chief Architect training sessions that they hold once a year, except this time was 3 years ago was the last one because of COVID. So it was really fun to see everybody again after all of that quite large time gap. Got a chance to spend some time with Renee. We've met before. We've hung out a little bit before, but never for 3 days. So that was really cool to do that. And Robin was busy with her grandbaby. So priorities, I know. Right. That's all right. We missed you, though.
We should actually make a point. There's a few people from the UK and New Zealand here, and we should pass on our condolences. So anybody from Canada, New Zealand, UK, we're just passing on our condolences.
No kidding. I was just telling my son this morning, just think how weird that must feel. You've had the same leader your entire life, 70 years, and all of a sudden it's going to change now. It's just like, whew, it's just like the world has changed. I mean, no question about it. So 70 years, that's really a long time for just to live, much less be the leader of a country for that long. It's just amazing. So yes, our deepest condolences. So that's amazing. But what can you say? She had a good run. Yes. Very, very good run. Last night I was listening to the radio and there was some show there. The Queen had started a radio show for children back in the World War II. And it was really fascinating. It's just something she started. It was pretty cool. Anyway, we'll move on from that. Again, thanks for being here. Let me share a little bit about Coeur d'Alene real quick, and then we'll move on into our other stuff. I've got a few pictures. This is the old slide show, that your relative gives, and you have to sit there and listen to it. It's like, oh, thanks a lot. I promise it's only about 20 pictures. Let's see. I want to share my screen, and I want to share this screen. And I think you guys might find this kind of fun. So I'll just go through my slideshow. So this is, we had just arrived in Coeur d'Alene. I had flown in with Michael and we met Renee at the airport. He rode back with us. And so we sat down, this about 2:30, 3 in the afternoon. We sat down and had some lunch on the sidewalks of downtown Coeur d'Alene. And it was just the three of us. And we started contacting people about, hey, we're here, come and join us. And less than about 3 hours later, that was our group. So that was pretty cool. So people started rolling in. They'd sit down with us. We all had dinner together, dinner or lunch, I guess, both kind of together. We just had a great time. It's just really wonderful to see everyone.
And we have to point out the snazzy shirts, Dan. That very new snazzy shirt you got.
Oh yeah, thanks. It's that's my. Let's see here. I'm going to go back to this. See, I got my new
very
chief.
Snazzy.
Yeah. Finally got my logo on a shirt, and I put the Chief Architect logo there. Scott said it was fine, and pretty excited about that. Anyway, let me keep going through this real quick. This is a typical evening at the house that we stay in. I rented 3 Airbnbs that we had about 14, 15 people staying at, plus other people would come and visit. And of course, we would. This was breakfast the first morning of the event that we're going to go to Chief Architect. This was our Advanced 2 class that we were in at Chief Architect. I think that's Scott, and that was Brian Beck. Brian's the guy in charge of all the beta team at Chief Architect, and as well as he does a lot of stuff there. So Scott's one of the big wigs there. And Al Fry back there, for those of you that have been around for a while, he's making, I wonder what he's saying there. Anyway, so I'd say most of the people in this room we know quite well, because this is the Advanced 2, and I think more than half of us were staying in different houses together. So here's a lunchtime at the event where everybody's getting together to have lunch. Here's a slide that Greg Wells, the owner, one of the CEO, I think, of Chief Architect, had a picture of all the employees. I didn't count heads. I don't know if that's all the employees or not, but it's a good good bunch of them. So good group of people. They continue to do a great job. Here we are at La Peep after the first day. They always do a little get together, have hors d'oeuvres that we can eat. Actually kind of makes for a meal, and it's just fun to hang out and see everyone. Here we are back at the house, high-fiving and on the computers talking chief architect again. It's kind of what we do. Of course, here's Renee. Everybody's around Renee. Because Renee, you've always got something great to share. In fact, I didn't have the picture of the image you made of, or the symbol you made out of Kevin. That was pretty cool. Here we are the next morning. We take a hike through Knobs Hill, I think that's called, around Lake Coeur d'Alene. So that's kind of fun. That's one of the guys from Chief Architect. And here we are at breakfast the next day, or that's the same day we did after the Knobs Hill. And that evening after class, we went on a riverboat. It's not a riverboat, paddle. It's not a paddle boat. It's just a big boat. They take us around the bend up here to the Chief Architect, or not Chief Architect, the Coeur d'Alene Golf Course, where they put on a big event where they have all sorts of food, and they had a little contest here that people were doing. Here's my buddy Kevin. He was talking to someone. Here's Renee, hard at it in the contest that we were at. He had to produce a kitchen island in 10 minutes.
I did terrible at that.
Oh, you did
about
okay.
that contest, huh? It made all of us nervous.
You know, I was sitting there and I was actually kind of shaking a little bit. It was really nerve-wracking. I just, but it was fun.
Were there requirements on it? Did you have to do like add certain
Yeah,
things?
they gave us a little printout like this.
Oh.
You can't see it very well, and you had to duplicate it. So, and they had libraries there you could use, and then you had all your people that you're part of a team. Your IDs had a little number on it, your name tags, and you're part of a team, and they're kind of yelling at you and kind of ignoring them, just trying to do what you do. Anyway, it was fun, and we had a great time.
We had to draw a cabinet. And I hadn't drawn very much for cabinets in years.
Yeah,
except for just for placeholders, and so I got booted out of the chair. They thought I'd be really great at it.
Oh yeah, I got
booted out.
I did okay, but someone that does cabinets all the time would have done much better. Anyway, here's our back at the house again, doing what we do, talking Chief Architect, and Ethan had joined us. He's one of the guys in our Advanced 2 class. He stopped by to join us, and here's a little history for you. This house is on Lake Coeur d'Alene, next to the country club, the golf course that you could see it when we came in a boat around the bend. This is where Chief Architect was invented, up there. Wow. That was where Jack Simpson lived when they were just starting Chief Architect. And that used to be the development lab up there. And they would have, I'm not sure when they moved, I think they had about a half dozen developers up there working on the software. So they moved into an office in Coeur d'Alene, and they're there. And here's Mr. Rabbit with the rabbit sculpture. I got to send you this picture. It's a great picture. I like that. So that might be your new logo, huh? It's in downtown Coeur d'Alene. Yeah, that turned out well. And here we are the last night there on Main Street. It was a Friday night, and the town was buzzing. There was lots of young people walking up and down, hunting each other. So it was kind of fun. But we had a great time. Anyway, that's a little bit about the event. We had a great time. It was fun to be there, fun to see everybody. So, if they're going to do it again next year. We haven't committed to that we're going to be there, but we'll see. So, Coeur d'Alene is really a beautiful city to visit if you guys haven't been there. All right, moving on. We're going to a couple of things. John, why don't you talk about this?
Talk about what?
Your
background.
My background. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me show the screen and then I'll say it again. Yeah, let's get your 2 cents on this. You too, Renee and Robin. Why don't you guys tell everybody a little bit about this?
This is about our upcoming event at the end of February, the last 2 weeks of February. Dan set it up so that we can have 2 1-week classes. It's right on the Outer Banks of Virginia Beach, right?
Yes.
Virginia Beach area.
Yep.
24-bedroom house with lots of places to meet and work on stuff. It's going to be a great time.
It is. So when you hit this button down here, you can just join our wait list. If you have an interest in it all, here's the bottom line. If you can handle this, this is for you. Okay. 7 days with some of the best chief users in the world. Renee will be there. I'll be there. Well, all 4 of us will be there. And there will be lots of other really good users there. So this will be fun.
It's not just going to be chief. It's going to be some theory classes, like I plan on doing some kitchen and bath classes, some lighting classes, some really in-depth lighting. And then hopefully Renee and I can get together and I can teach lighting theory, and then he can show you how to make your drawings represent the light correctly. So there's some really great opportunities here.
We're going to talk a lot about a lot of things. We're going to cover a lot of things, including the business of design. So we've got, it's going to be amazing. So I'm really excited about small group setting. It's going to be amazing. So details will be coming very, very shortly. But you can, if you're interested, just put your name in and we'll let you know. We'll put you on the top of the list to let you know. So that's that. I put the link into this page. Just click to, many of you may be on this page already. Just click the link down here to join the wait list. So, all right, with that, let's move on. I don't like taking up a lot of time talking about that kind of stuff, but it's just part of biz. Got to let you know about these things. Okay, we're not going to jump to the designer wheel quite yet. All right. Last time we did this, Renee said, Dan, you should talk more about preferences, because preferences are something that are kind of a big deal in Chief Architect, and they can really make your life a lot easier when it comes to working with software. And I don't know, I think it's kind of true. And I know, Renee, you commented on a few things that you've made some changes to that you really liked. So let's jump in on those and let's go talk about preferences. So when you open Chief Architect and you open a plan, you see a blank screen generally. That's called a template. All right. That's not preferences. That's a copy of a plan that Chief has opened for you, and it's named it Untitled. And then you go to your default settings here. That's your default settings. And you adjust all of these things for that particular plan. That's not preferences. That's defaults. Okay. Preferences have to do with this little icon right here, the one with the little P on it. All right. We talked a little bit about a couple things over the last few weeks about preferences, but not much. We're going to dig into maybe about 8 to 10 things today. That'll help make your life a little easier. You can, if you don't see that icon, you can always go to Edit, Preferences, or you can hit that little squiggly line thing right there next to the number 1 key, and that'll open your preferences as well. What do they call that thing again? I don't remember.
Tilde. It's called tilde.
A tilde.
And if you're on a Mac, it's under File. You'll see it all the way down at the bottom under File.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not on a Mac.
Neither, but I remember that.
Yeah, thank you. So when we go to preferences, you've got all of these things listed on the left side of the screen. Okay. Those I call them tabs because they used to be tabs. So we still call them tabs. Let's talk about some of these things under appearance. First thing is contextual menus. All right. So whenever you draw something in a plan and you click on it, you highlight the thing. Now that's assuming you have, in this case, either have Windows highlighted, or I'm clicking on this icon right here, which is select all, which is the space bar. So with that selected, I can left click on anything. But the key to getting really good at Chief is using your right mouse button. Right mouse button is used for a ton of things. Okay, so we talked about the right mouse button the last time. Okay, and we actually talked about this first preference setting last time too. But the right mouse button used for a lot of things. In fact, I got to add a couple more things to this list because I learned a few more things at Coeur d'Alene that I want to put on that list. Things I've been doing, I just didn't have it on that list. I don't remember what they are. I think I'll look at my notes. But so what we want to do is we want to set this click twice to display. So turn that on so that when you click on something the first time to select it, you get the item. So the right mouse button is your pick button. You click on it, you can dimension things, you can move it, you can open the dialog, you can do whatever you want to it by right clicking on it. But you don't want this menu every single time you right click on something. This is called the contextual menu. So you want to make that by choice. In other words, when you click once, you get the item. You click twice, you get the contextual menu. Because sometimes I want to use the menu. So you guys use this?
Are you right clicking or left clicking?
I'm right clicking. Okay. You have to right click. All right, Renee, do you have your right mouse set up, Renee, or do you use your scroll wheel, your 3D mouse?
For what specifically?
To highlight things.
Oh, I do single right click. I know you do double. Yeah.
Well, you do double right click to get the contextual menu. Single right click to get the item. Follow me?
Right.
So some people I've seen shut that off totally. And I don't think you can use right. Oh yeah, right. So right mouse button will work on anything without ever getting the contextual menu. So if you never want that contextual menu, just turn that off. Okay. But I like the contextual menu once in a while. So I'd click twice to display. Okay. Questions about that one?
Nope.
Okay, let me know if you have questions. So status bar, just these little coordinates down here at the bottom, you can turn those on and off. Not a big deal. I'd say leave them on so you are just reminded that you're working in a CAD program. Line weights, what do you want to display on the screen? You can set your pixels bigger. So I like my line weight set, leave it at 1. So when you're working on your plan, these are all line weights of 1. If I turn the line weight on, clicking this icon right here, that see how I can see the heavier lines now? But I like to work with my line weights turned off. So that's why we're going to turn them off and do that. But you could bump that number up. If your line weights are way too light on your screen, you can bump that up under preferences. All right, let's skip down to actually display. No, let's skip down to toolbars. Chief will send out the program setup with child tool palette turned on and not drop downs. This is remember, they call these things preferences for a reason, whatever you like. I like to have the drop down and the menus, the items over here. So when you turn that switch to the drop downs, then you get these little arrows and you can get all of the drop downs. You get the same icons you get when you click on the icon will be in a drop down as well. So I can now get them from either place.
What happens if you choose, what does it look like if you just choose child tool palette?
Let's take a look at that. If you choose child tool palette, then it looks like this. You get no arrows. You get the arrow indicating that there will be icons over here, but you do not get the drop down anymore. So it's going to go ahead, John.
Is that the one that changes the tool appearance on the top toolbar if you have it something selected on the side? One of them changed. One of them.
Yeah. So if I select a door, for example, and I click a different icon here, this icon on the top does not change. So I can have a garage door icon selected, but this door always stays looking like a door. Instead of displaying, if you have it the other way, whatever you've selected here will display up here as well. So if I let me turn that back on quick. Preferences, let's go back and turn that back on. And now when I click on the door icon and I click on garage door, see how it's now showing a garage door up here as well. Okay. So sometimes it gets a little confusing. So if you've gone and selected doorway, and then you look up here and you're looking for the door icon, and you don't see that icon anymore, that's because you have doorway selected. Right. You just have to get used to it. Not a big deal. Yep. So you kind of get used to looking over here for what you're trying to get. And if this is shut off by any chance, which happens to people now and then, just go up to View and turn your tool palette back on. Tools, tool palette. Okay. You can turn that back on.
I know when I was first learning Chief and I didn't know all the icons, it would have been really confusing for me to have the icon on the top toolbar change like that. So, and sometimes it did, so to me, it'd be better to have the child one checked so that it stayed the same on the top and then you could find it and find your tools easier.
Well, that was your preference. How about that?
That was my preference. Exactly.
Another little thing about this, though, you notice I just have icons displaying on the left. In regards to you just starting out using, it's not a bad idea to turn list view on so that you can see the name of the icon along with the icon. When you click on something here and you get the child, it'll show that. So, once you get used
down
to
there.
Chief, the little gear icon down here. So once you get used to Chief, you don't need to do this anymore. I mean, unless you want to keep it that way, but I always like mine in grid view. It takes up less real estate and I already know what the icons are for. So it's just a matter of, where you're at in your user experience.
That's in.
So preferences. Another thing, I'm going to do the child drop down again and leave it like that. Button size. So if you're running a 8K monitor or whatever it is, your buttons might be small. Now on mine, I have 2 monitors. I have both monitors set at different resolutions. Actually, I have 3 monitors. I have my portable laptop monitor set up here right now. So when you look at this, you'll see I have kind of a wonky looking monitor set up. This is the screen that you guys are seeing right now. I have that set up at 1920 by 1080. This one's set up to 4K through 3800, whatever that is. So I can look at it right here and find out. 3840 by 2160. And this one is my little laptop, or for my laptop, that's set up at the same 1920 by 1080. So I do this because I want you guys to be able to see the screen better. And plus, when I work on it, I do a lot of my work on this screen because everything's bigger, which is really nice when you're getting older, more mature. Okay, so watch your screen res. So when I pull Chief over onto my other screen, the icons only fill the bar about, they only fill my toolbar about to here, because they're all going to be a lot smaller on my other screen. So you can play with that all you want. What I do is, so I have the 2 screens. So those of you that want to have both, a bigger screen resolution with higher res for your renders and things like that, you could do that. On this screen that I'm working on, I set my text size at 175. So I right click on my display settings, open this menu, and make sure I click this one. And actually, I know I'm only at 125 on this one because that's fine at that scale. I'm at 175 on my other one, on my big resolution. So you can mix and match your resolutions if you want to. I'm running 2 30-inch monitors plus a 15-inch monitor on the bottom.
Can you look at this a little bit?
Yeah.
Has scale icons for high DPI display.
Scale icon. Oh, yeah. Let's go back. That's in preferences again. I think I've always had that turned on. So I wonder, actually, let me just for the fun of it, pull my Chief screen onto my other screen and see what happens. Oh, it does keep my icons filled up in Chief. Oh, no, they don't. They do stop at a point. I don't know what that means, John. That's a good question. Okay. I'm thinking that when you get to the 4K, 8K monitors, right, it's going to keep your icons bigger for you instead of shrinking them so tiny they look like little pinheads on your screen. Right. I'm pretty sure that's what it means. But button size, you can adjust your button size anytime you want. So if you want your icons to be bigger on your screen, just change this. You'll have to restart Chief to do that, but play with it. So on my screen, I set mine to 20, and that fills my screen as much as I can with the icons. What you don't want to end up with is a bunch of black arrows at the ends of all of these, because that'll mean there's a bunch of icons hidden under arrows. So you won't be seeing all the icons. So just adjust them so they fit the screen. I've always adjusted mine up as big as I can get it, just because I like to see my icons better. Plus you guys can see them better too. All right. Renee, you run with your screen, you run a ton of icons on your screen. What do you have your button size set to?
Let me see, actually. I think it's like 23 or something.
Can you show your screen?
Let's see.
I'll remove mine. Can you add yours to the stream?
You can share my screen. That's fine. I have my button size to 26, and I'm on a 2K display.
2K. Oh, you're on a laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see your screen. You have to share it. Hit the
share button. How do I share it? Actually, I'm sorry.
Do you have a share button down there on the bottom?
At the bottom, there's a plus sign. A little.
It says share with a plus sign on it. It's next between the stop screen and invite.
Yep,
I don't know if you
got it.
Okay. I mean, you use this program. You should know that. All right. So there's Renee's screen. And if I go full screen, you can see that. So you're at 20, you said. So if you went 26. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you went any bigger, those icons on the right side, that last row would start to fall off the screen.
Yeah, shrink off the screen.
You've already got a
exactly.
black arrow there now. So, but you know, you're used to what you have and you know where everything is. So,
Oh, I move it around all the time.
oh, do you? No, you're always rearranging things, coming up with new
Yeah.
ideas.
Well, when I'm working, I like to if you have your toolbars, right click on your toolbars and you have lock toolbars unchecked. Then when I'm working on kitchen, I bring out my kitchen toolbar and
Got it.
stack it in the center of the screen. So I do
That's
this all
right.
the time.
Which you keep expanding, and you guys go to Renee's
And also,
website,
at some point, they made it easier to right click and get to toolbar drop down. So if I want to work on, something that's not here, I just click it on. There's my framing tools, and I can bring them into place and start framing.
Where was that again?
If you have additional toolbars in your toolbar configuration, but you just don't have them turned on, you can go into the toolbars drop down menu and uncheck or check that toolbar and use it and make it active.
Yep. Got it. Yep, there it is. I see that on my screen too. So I don't get into as much detail as you do with your toolbar, but you do have a phenomenal toolbar. If you guys haven't been to Renee's website, Renee, what's your again? Renee Rabbit Design. What is it again?
So rabbitdesign.net.
.net. Yeah, go there and look for his kitchen package and toolbars and stuff. He's got some really cool stuff.
Two B's and 2 T's.
Can I ask a question on that one? Renee, can you create a new video on how to get those toolbars loaded on create the toolbar to get all those new tools and create a toolbar? Can you create a new video on that one, please?
I have one. That's new. It's up on my YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, I'll grab it. Thank you.
Cool. All right, let's go back to my screen and go back into our preferences. Side windows. I don't know what that is. Minimum display size for dimensions and labels. So when you scroll out and when you zoom out, your dimension numbers will never get less than 8 pixels. Okay, so that when you have some dimensions on your screen and you zoom out, see how they always get bigger? See that they don't get less than 8 pixels. So if you want those to zoom out with the plan, make it 0. And then your dimensions will, I think that's the number. If we go 0, and now if I zoom out, see how the dimension sizes don't change? They just zoom out with the plan. So that's what that means. Oops, I want to turn this off. Here we go. So sometimes if you got a lot of dimensions in your plan, just go to preferences and you can, even just try 4 or something like that. Maybe you still want to keep them so you can see them as you zoom out, but maybe you want it to zoom up further before they start going, wonkus on top of each other. Wonkers. Is it wonkers or wonkus? All right, back to preferences. Actually, I like 4 a little bit better. I think I'm going to leave it set at that. Colors is a big one for me. I like the way I set up my colors. Renee, you have your background colors you have your screen a little bit darker. It's probably a little easier on your eyes. And you have, I don't know if you've adjusted your layers to compensate for the darker screen, but I've seen people that set theirs up to look like AutoCAD with the black screen and more light lines. So it's just like whatever works for you. But let's talk about this top thing up here, the view colors. So you've got a bunch of different options here. We got our background and layout background. Those are 2. I just always leave those set to white. I suppose I could dim them up to a light gray or something like that and make it a little easier on my eyes, but I don't know. I guess I'm kind of used to it. But I like to reset all of these. Handle, fill, secondary, selected edge. So my selected line, I like to set as a blue. So I go to that bright blue. My selection fill, I set to I always just do this one up here, and then I move the slide bar up. You don't want it to be too dark. It just gets to be too much if it's too dark. So kind of make it somewhat light.
Well, and actually, we talked about this last show. I think it was X14 added the opacity slider on the selection fill.
Right down here, exactly. So even if it is darker, you could just turn this, and that's another way to lighten it. But you'll be able to see through the dark color. So you have both. So I guess I do like both. Because if you had this turned all the way up to 99% and you clicked on a room, you wouldn't see anything in the room, the cabinets or any of that kind of stuff. So you want to keep that opacity set to a certain degree. I like my
Be care-
handle. Yeah, go ahead.
Be careful messing with that. I did that when they first showed it to us.
Mm-hmm.
I forget how I did it, but I did it to one extreme or the other, and I couldn't see my cameras anymore.
Oh,
It took me like 2 hours sitting there messing with it to figure out what I did.
That's funny.
And then finally I asked who was standing behind us. Anyway, he came and helped me, and he didn't know what it was right away either.
oh,
The only way we found it is because I opened a new plan and we had the grid turned on, and the camera was whiting out the grid. So
Oh, that's funny.
be careful with that one.
Yeah, it's
Make
kind
sure
of
that
it's kind of it's kind of hidden right there. It's kind of
Yeah.
hard to see.
That was probably Ed.
Yeah.
Mike asked something here. Preferences are
Yeah.
global. Defaults are plan specific.
Correct. Yeah,
Yes.
preferences affect the program. It changes the program. It'll work. So whatever you change here is for all plans. Okay. Defaults are for the plan you're working on.
Another way to think about it is the preferences are computer specific, and the defaults are plan specific.
Right. So this stuff here, with the handle size, and then after you're done setting your handle colors, what you might also do is go to edit, and you can also under edit, you can change your handle size. The little buttons that appear, the dots that appear when you click on things. I bump mine up to 5. You can play with that. I've seen guys bump them up way too big and it gets a little clumsy. But now when I click on things, I can see the handles well. You should be able to see them pretty well on your screen. So when I select a box, you see that the edge here is blue. The edged line I've selected is blue. The corners are red. The little handles in between are red. The fill style is what I've set. And if I put that on top of something, see, I've got that opacity that I can see the items through it. So
I think one of the most important things to note about colors is, will you just select your wall with all your windows there? So scroll up a little bit. When we set colors and then we select a wall, it will highlight with that color anything that's a modifiable entry. Right, so that's really powerful, because out of the box is gray, and you might not even notice that you have some editable dimensions.
I know that they always have a light gray handles, light gray fill, and half the time when you click on things, you can't tell what you've selected. That's why I always change the colors right away. So I don't know why they don't change that. Maybe they just want to be generic and let everybody use their own preferences to change the colors they like.
So if you select something and a dimension string does not highlight in a color, then you know that that dimension string is not actually dimensioning to what you think it is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's the colors. And then you do have a bunch of things under colors. All of this stuff, you can change your template just by going to these different things here. Which one are you using? Did you set up your own, or are you using Beach or something?
I made my own.
Okay.
It took way too long doing it too.
Yeah, but you love that kind of stuff. So it's all good. All right, here's the fonts. These are the default fonts that you use.
That is so funny.
That's pretty good. Arial is, you set up your fonts for the plan that you're working on as part of your defaults. So you may not even need to do this. Just something that I don't even know why they have that here. Library browser. This you can also adjust over here when you click on the library browser. When I pull my library browser off the screen and I have it floating, which I do almost all the time, okay, one of the first things I will do is go into my browser preferences, and I'll make them the browser stacked. I like my browser to look like why is my browser not so long in project browser, not library browser? Silly me. There we go. Pull that one off. And I like mine stacked like this. So I have the list here. When I click on the folder in a list, it's going to show everything that's below it. Here it's showing the first item in each of the folders when I click on that folder. Here it's showing the first items in each of that folder. And then here it's showing all the items in that folder. Okay, so I like that. And when I click here, now I see the 3D and I can run. So I've got everything going for me right here with all of these things. So I always pull my browser off onto my other screen, have it open there. It's big. I can work on it any way I want to. So that's what I like. I like the stacked. All right, how are we doing? 35. Here's a little one for you. If you ever, this is probably such an insignificant thing, it's not even really worth thinking about, but I'll talk about it anyway. When you are working in Chief and you're typing notes and stuff in your plan, like in a cross section on your floor plan, things like that, if you're ever in a situation where you want your notes to change size when you change the scale of an image, you can do that automatically by turning this off. Create rich text. And by turning this off, what that does is, in a number of segments, is when you add text to your plan using with the leader line, you get 2 segments before you click and add text. Okay, so that's how that works. That's what the segments are. But by unchecking that, what I've just added here is plain text, not rich text. Okay, rich text is this other icon here, rich text. So now this is more like a word processor where you can have different fonts and bold and underlined and everything in one text box. Okay, different colors, whatever you want. You can't do that in a plain text box. But what does happen is the plain text box acts just like labels in Chief. Everything that Chief adds automatic labels to. So if I switch my view now to a different size, so if I switch this to an 1/8 inch size, see how my text changed as well, but this text did not. Again, it's a little thing, so if I want my text smaller, it does it. It doesn't change the arrow size, unfortunately, but it does change the text size. So just a simple FYI. I prefer mine set up with plain text. So if I do rescale something, the text size changes automatically. I don't have to go retype everything. So that's just something that maybe some people would like. Can
you show us? There was a question here about temporary dimensions. Can you show us where to turn those off at real quick?
That's this icon right here. It's got I got my camera sitting right in front of my icons. It's this icon right here. It's got the little T with arrows on it, that turns off the temporary dimensions. So when you're working on something like a little CAD box or something, and these dimensions are always in the way when you click on an edge, you can turn that off right there, and then you won't have them.
I actually tell new users to undo that hotkey, take the T off of that, because it's so easy to hit it by accident and lose hours worth of work.
What do you mean?
The hotkey for that by default is T. You've done it too. You took it away. Yeah.
Yeah, I changed mine into my T into transform replicate.
Yeah. So it's for a new user, it's nice to not hit that T by accident and not know your dimensions.
That would make sense. Yeah. Because when your dimensions aren't showing up and you're used to having them there, you go, what the heck? That's a good point. Okay. Moving on in preferences. That was a good question. General. I'm going to just blow through some of these real quick. You get 50 undos by default. Hopefully that's plenty for you. If you turn that into a much bigger number, with modern equipment, it's not a big deal. With older equipment, if that's too high, you're going to start jamming your memory. In fact, I'm going to turn mine down because she's been jamming my memory out way too much lately. So I'm going to turn my undos down to about 20 because I think that might be what's slowing my machine down. As I work on a plan, all of a sudden it's just like lagging. I bet that's what's doing it because it's storing 50 copies of my plan in memory. And that can eat up a lot of memory. At least that's my understanding. Do you know anything different about that, Renee or John or Robin? Anything?
I've had mine as low as 5.
Okay. Set it to what you're comfortable with undoing, and you'll save a little memory on your computer. If you got a big, massive machine that's got tons of memory, it's not an issue. It's a non-issue. Uh-oh. Renee dropped.
He'll come back.
Pete must have kicked his computer out. All right, so you check for program updates every day. So anytime you open your computer, Chief's going to log on the internet and look for that update for your computer, for your deal. It's also going to check your password and all that other stuff it does when it starts up. Dashboard, that's the show on startup. That's that little screen that shows up when you start Chief. This screen right here. Okay. And so by default, Chief's got it set up so that when you start a plan, it'll show on startup. It'll also show when no other tabs are open. So when you close all your tabs, you have a startup tab here. Okay. And then you can turn this so it closes it when you open a new tab. So when I get rid of my tabs here, okay, so if I close this plan, you'll see that I'll go ahead and save it. You see, I go back to the dashboard now instead of just exiting out the program, which is fine. That works for me. Okay. Where am I going here? I want to go back to this one I was doing, the wheel plan. All right, we're running way longer than I thought this would take. As you can see, preferences, we can have lengthy discussions. That's why Robin said we should do a whole session just on preferences.
I think Renee said that, but that's great.
Renee did say that, yes. Oh,
hey, can I respond to something that Norman asked about real quick?
You bet, absolutely.
Let me try sharing my screen again. There we go. He said he had his T bound to tape, and instead of using tape, something I like to use is just the line tool, and drag out your line, hit your tab or enter key, then Control-C to copy your dimension, whatever you're dimensioning, and hit cancel. It cancels the line, but now I have that dimension copied to my clipboard.
Okay.
Oh.
And
so instead of using the tape measure, if you need to know a dimension between two items, just snap out a line, tab, enter, copy.
Oh, sure.
And then you can paste it somewhere else. There you go. That's it.
Another way to do it. See, there's never an end to ways to use this program. That's the fun thing about it. Okay, troubleshooting. You generally use that when you're reporting things to Chief. So you just kind of leave that alone. So that's what.
Where is that? I think Renee's still.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Let me remove Renee and add mine back in. There we go. So just leave these alone. I think Brian said just that's used for support when you have problems with plans. Default, edit active default on double click. What is that? Edit active double default. I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is, John?
Yeah, you know what that is double click on the screen. It brings up the default screen. So when you double click like on Windows, it brings up the default for Windows.
Really?
Yeah, you showed us this.
Well, I can double click on items to open them.
Double click on a tool. Yeah.
On a tool, on an icon.
Oh, okay. That's what that is. So yeah, all of these icons will open your default settings.
That's what that is.
So yeah, okay. That makes sense. So you can double click on most of these icons here and it'll open the default settings that you would get to from this. So same kind of a deal. Saves you a lot of time. All right. Back to our preferences. Save dialog size and position. This one is really kind of nice. Okay. So if you're working on rooms and you're working on the floor structure or changing something in a room, and you open a dialog and you go to structure and you change something here, and then you go to a different room and you open the dialog, and now you're back to general and you have to click structure again. By clicking on this preference setting right here, open dialogs to the last panel visited. So every time you open a room dialog now, it's going to be back at the structure tab.
Mm-hmm.
If you're working on cabinets and you're changing something in a cabinet, and you go to doors and drawers, and you got to do that to some other cabinets. Now, every time you come in here, you'll be on that tab. So you don't have to go select it all the time. I find that to be really, really handy. And so I always go change that right away. Room planner import. Don't know what that is. I mean, the room planner is gone now. That's been off the market for a number of years. They're not going to bring it back. So I suppose if you still have the app, you could use that. Let's see, file management, auto save every 5 minutes. So when you're working on a plan, Chief will save your file for you automatically. So if it's program, if something crashes, your power goes out, whatever, and you open Chief again, it's going to give you a message that says, hey, we found a different plan that's newer than the one you had before. I always recommend you should open that and check it out, and you might want to save that.
There are a few crashes that doesn't work on, though, so it's still a good idea to save it manually.
Save a lot? Yeah. What kind of crashes doesn't it work on?
I don't remember what it was because it frustrated me so much, but I'd been working on something for 2 hours and it crashed and it was all gone. Nothing.
Bye-bye. Wow.
It wasn't anywhere.
Wow. That's unusual. That's really unusual. I mean, Chief.
It's unusual, but
it happens.
If you're working on something really complicated, it's still a good idea to save manually.
The little save or Control S used to be F3. I think they got rid of that. F3 used to be the save key in Chief. All right. Recent file list, thumbnail images, large, small. That's, we're not going to get into that. Auto archive files daily. So every day when you open up your plan, Chief's going to make a copy of that plan in your auto archives. Okay, every day. So you might get a message at some point after 14 days. On day 15, you're going to say, hey, there's a lot of files in your auto archive. That means you've opened that plan on 15 different days. And yeah, it says it right here. There's 14. You could bump that number up or just go into your archive folder and delete some of those older files or just ignore the message. Doesn't matter. So that's what that is. I mean, if you wanted to really save a ton of them, go hourly, but daily seems to work fine. So, and this is saved. This auto archive thing has saved a lot of people on something crashing and going bye-bye.
Is that true what Carl's saying there? If you open the layout first and won't open the newer plan file, I haven't found that to be the case.
So what now?
Well, read what Carl just wrote. If you open the layout first, it won't open the newer plan file. I haven't found that to be the case, but have you guys found that?
Well, when you open the layout, it's going to open all of the plans that are on that layout. Right. Now, remember, by the way, hi, Carl. Carl stayed with us in Coeur d'Alene. When you open the layout, it's going to open up the plan that's on the layout and that's saved on the layout. It's not going to open the auto archive because the auto archive is a different file. And the layout's not going to see that. Okay, so it's opening the plan into the memory. Carl, when you double click to open the plan, did it give you that message?
It didn't give him the message.
Ever.
I think that's what he's saying.
That should be reported to Chief because that shouldn't happen. It doesn't matter where you open the plan. When you open Chief and you open that plan either from the layout or from your thing, it should recognize that autosave file. So that's a good point. So Carl, keep an eye on that. And if it continues, you should do a support ticket to Chief. That would be good.
I've reported that on the Chief Talk forums. That's in the suggestion somewhere. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Again, so under file management down here at the bottom, associate files with this program. When you double click on a plan file or a layout file, it should open in the current version of Chief Architect. I've had people that installed X14 and then they go install the home version to look at a demo, or they install an older version of the program, and now the files are trying to open in the older program because that's the one that's now associated with the files. So just come in here to file management and click this, and now you'll be good. Chief will always open them in the most current version or whatever version you're doing here. So you can go back and forth if you want. You're just telling Windows, which I'm assuming this is the same on the Mac or the Apple, to open those files in X14. Folders. We're not going to get to the wheel at all today. You were right. We needed a whole show on this, Renee. We'll do the wheel next time. Folders. This is where all the stuff is stored related to Chief Architect. Okay, so when you come down here to program paths, these are where all of the different things are. You can see there's a lot going on behind the scenes in this program now. Chief will store some of these things in what are called hidden folders, so you don't even see them. Others like these are hidden files. You can turn those on so you can see them and get to them, but you have to do that in Windows. But the main ones right here are the data folders. Okay, you see they're going to be in the archives folder, but I did put, and on this particular computer, I still have my user library referenced in my data folder. Now, if you elect to, say you have a laptop, a desktop, and whatever, you have multiple computers, and you want your user library. Okay, I don't have a problem with this one. I'd say be really careful with these other ones. Okay, especially the My Data folder. But the user libraries are not quite as big of an issue if you're using it for yourself on different computers. You can do this and then browse to a folder in a Dropbox or a Google folder or a Windows Live folder. And when you do that, what Chief is going to do, so you would go to your Dropbox. In this case, I'll use Dropbox. And I'm going to say, here I want to get, let me go here. I thought I had a folder for libraries for Chief Architect. Whatever, just create a folder, new folder, and call it what you want. And I'll say Chief X14 User Library. Okay. And select that. Okay. So now when you click OK, what Chief is going to do, where'd it go here?
It's going to be down lower because it's not a number.
It's right there. So when you hit select this folder now, what Chief is just, when I hit OK, I'm going to hit cancel because I don't want to do that right now. Chief's going to copy all of the contents of the user library into the new folder that you just created. And from now on, that's where all your user libraries will end up. And then you just go to your other computers and point them to that library. And so now as you add things to libraries, all your libraries will be up to date all the time. So anybody here, you guys using that at all? Renee, you do that? Well, you're always on your laptops.
I was doing it till recently, and because I turned it off or put it back into my computer because of my hotspot. It was using up too much data on my hotspot to get it up to date and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep. Yeah, we just went through that in Coeur d'Alene. Yep. So anyway, but you could do that. So I've had people that have 2 or 3 people in their office and they want to all have one updated user library. You could do this between a small group of people. When you start getting to larger groups of people, you got to be careful. There's some strategies that you have to use to do that. You really need to almost put someone in charge to manage that user library and kind of go from there. Okay. Let's just run through a few more things real quick. Ruby, we don't get into that on this type of stuff, although it was really cool to sit through some of the Ruby programming things that they talked about in the advanced class. And Renee, I know John, are you into Ruby a little bit, John?
No, not really.
Either?
I'd like to be, but I'm not yet.
How about you, Renee? You doing any of that?
Yeah, I do plenty of it, but the stuff they were going over was pretty high level.
It was pretty cool though. I've always been in the mindset I'll let other guys figure that stuff out. But it was really cool to see how they're using it in the program, and where it works and why you would need it. So I'm hoping that we can delve into that a little bit as time goes on. I had a great conversation with Joe, the macro guy. So he's quite a whiz at that stuff. He gets it.
Yeah.
You got to learn to talk different language. Here's your unit conversions.
And we need to pass the torch somehow because he's stopping supporting his macros for the user base, I think.
Oh, is he? Oh,
yeah.
Man. Okay, that makes sense. He's not a young stud anymore. He's 77, something like that.
Yeah.
He said he was turning 80 or turned 80.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, he looked great. Unit conversions. We won't get into that. Do you use this at all? Anybody? Renee, you into unit conversions?
Unit conversion? No, not at all.
Yeah, I'm not either. This would be like where you could convert, if you have 100 linear feet of 2x4s, but you want it to count how many 12 footers you have instead. So it will convert that. I think that's what this kind of stuff does. But I think they're doing a pretty good job of setting that up so we don't have to mess with it. Time tracker, we talked about the time tracker last time from the wheel. So if you go back to that one and look up the time on that, I got into explaining how you can use the time tracker and take it to a spreadsheet and kind of sort it out so you can figure out what you worked on and for how long you worked on it. So time tracker works. I use it all the time. Be sure to add your name on the computer you're working on so that if multiple people work on the same plan, you'll be able to see who worked on what. And you can sort that out. It's kind of nice.
I've used that. I use Harvest to track my time.
Okay.
And I turned that off because it irritated me for a long time, having that thing, having that pop up constantly.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that I turned it back on after listening to you, Dan, because there have been some times that I forgot to turn on my Harvest tracker.
Yeah.
I use that one. So now before I invoice, I look at both of them.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
There's a setting there too that you can turn that notice off so it doesn't pop up when it stops using it.
Yeah, that's right here.
Right.
You can turn that off. There's also, when it pops up, you can also tell it not to come back on. So that doesn't have to be checked in. But it is handy.
It's a good idea to have it. It's a great idea to have it. It only tracks your time working on Chief.
Right.
It doesn't help track your time when you're doing specifications or anything else. But at least it does gives you some additional information. And I think the 5 minutes is a good idea.
Yeah, I think the default is 5. I don't know why I had 15 in there. But click OK, and then so what'll happen is, no, I don't want to do that. So when you now go to when you go into your view time log, you can see how much time you spent on something, and it's really interesting to know that. And sometimes you wonder, how is it possible I spent that much time working on that damn plan? It's good and bad all at the same time, guys. Just remember that. But it's really valuable information. So if you've worked on a room addition and you don't, you've worked on it and you do a lot of the same thing, start comparing those notes. Then you start getting an idea. Yeah, these kind of plans take me 30 hours on average or whatever it is. Just, you got to know, man. You just got to know.
I haven't used it much, but in that there's a comments thing on that time tracker too.
Yes.
That I've started using a little bit and I want to start using it more. You could comment on what you worked on the plan during that time, the troubles you had, so that you can get a better idea of why something took 6 hours or whatever you got there.
So you can add that stuff here. And again, my normal day consists of working on all sorts of stuff all day long. So for me to even try to bother to track something and keep notes on it is pretty tough. But so I always take it to a spreadsheet and massage it. Anyway, let's keep going. We're about out of time here, for Pete's sake.
Let's see if we can answer Herbert's question here.
By all means,
he's asking about in line management, the text. I think that's what he's talking about. When you put a text on a line under line management, create a new line. His text is coming out different sizes.
This. No. What?
No. Go create a new line.
A new.
Go to CAD, line management.
CAD
right down
line,
there.
Close out your preferences. CAD line management.
Yeah, right down there at the bottom of your child menu.
This.
Yeah.
Line style management.
You're creating a new line, and some of it has text in it, and he's having trouble with his text holding the size that he wants.
That's controlled by the layer that line is on. Okay, so when you draw, I think it is. Let's try it. I haven't done this for a long time. Let me go find that again. Actually, you can get those from your library too.
Right, you could create new ones.
Yeah, so let's go to, you can create new ones. You can get them from your library. So here's my line styles. So you've got the line styles with different text. So I'll grab one here with medium and draw a line. Okay, so now we've got that. And you see when I scroll in and out, it's going to zoom based on pixel size. It's not going to print that way. But when I open this line, let's see if this matters. So if I go to line style, it's on the line style called CAD default. Let's go look at this and switch it to oh gosh, what's the one that has bigger? Yeah, like this plot plan would
plan,
have much bigger text associated with it in the text style. Okay, so plain text, all things plain text can be controlled by this. Right, when I click OK, that text should get really big now. No, it doesn't. So my text, that line went off, so I got to go turn that on, which would have been just a CAD default line. No, that's not right. Oh,
You put it on plot plan.
I did. Why is that not showing up? There it is. So the size text you put in that isn't controlled by that the same way that other text is. Okay. So that is controlled. When's the last time I even set up a line? I don't even know.
I don't do it very often either.
Tools, CAD, line.
But I think you're right. I think it has to do with the layer that it's on, because that's how you control.
Edit.
Like
so the text size is controlled by a height, spacing, text height, 1/8 inch. That text height is probably always going to stay at an 1/8 inch in this particular situation. That's why you have different types of line with, small, medium, large text on it, because they're adjusting that text size here, not by the layer, not by the so when I draw out that line, which I didn't have anymore because I didn't do something with it, I'm going to review that. I'll see if I can put something together for our next show, which, by the way, will probably be next week. Will be next week. That's the third Friday of the month. So we had to skip last week because we're in Coeur d'Alene. So I'm going to review that for you, and we'll get something figured out for you. Is that Herbert?
Yep. So we're in an hour and 2 minutes. And
we're not even done with preferences. I thought we'd zip right through this.
There's a lot of interest in talking about colors, inverted colors and stuff for your screen and stuff like that.
Oh, that's a quick explain. If you have working saved plan views set up, then in your working saved plan views, go ahead and set your layout background to black and invert all of your layers colors to white or whatever color you'd like so that it looks more like AutoCAD. But then your print sets, which are other saved plan views, such as a floor plan view, should still have your text be black so that when they're sent to layout, they're printing appropriately. So you could be working in an AutoCAD workflow where the colors are inverted in your working saved plan views, where you have a layer set associated with it that has inverted colors.
Okay. Are we on the right track?
I've been following what Norman's talking about. Yeah. Okay. And so that's going back to, you got to go watch a previous show where we're talking about, workflows in terms of, working in a working saved plan view versus having your saved plan views that are for prints.
Got it.
I think I messed with that the other day, and there was a comment about black text. Seems like the black text inverted automatically when I put a black screen on.
Oh, when you put a black layout? Well, maybe that's true. I'm not sure.
Yeah, let me just switch mine real quick. We'll give it a few more minutes, and then we'll call it a day. But let me switch to a darker, which is a darker one.
Smoke might be.
You might have to go completely to black. Just change your background up at the top to black.
Let's just try. It's got to have one in here like that, isn't there?
I would think smoke.
I think so.
Smoke might be.
Smoke.
Yeah,
there you go. That's really big dark smoke. But it didn't change my background.
It doesn't. You need to change your background to black.
Okay, so let's go do that, and we'll change the background to black.
Oh, it does invert by itself.
There you go. So how about like dimensions, that kind of stuff? No, the dimensions did not. They're still blue.
If it's a color,
text did not automatically invert either.
So some things will have to be. So it looks like CAD items will invert, but not other items.
That is so bad for your eyes, though. The black screen causes so much more eye strain. You really need to pay attention to that. For those of you who are more mature in the group, black screens are just highly not recommended. They create so much more strain on your eyes.
I kind of agree, especially with the bright contrast colors on that black.
I mean, something like this isn't so bad. Go to a light gray. You can still see everything just fine. It doesn't have to invert. You might want to change the wall colors, but that could work too.
My comment's not made up. That is a reality by, the white screen with black lettering is better for your eyes. Only if you have eye fatigue. And, if you're spending hours on your screen, if you have eye fatigue. If your eyes are really red at the end of the day, you're having eye fatigue. Now, this is just something to consider. Take care of your eyes. You only get 2.
Yeah.
You can get them replaced, but it's really expensive and it's not something everybody can do. And it's not really a good idea.
No, you don't want to be going there. All right. Let's do one more thing here.
In Windows, we have a setting called Night Light, and it will change a lot of your colors across all programs to kind of an amber, and that's can be helpful for some of you out there.
Yeah.
Where's that?
In Windows, if you hit your Windows key and just type in Night Light, it's in your system settings.
Night Light settings.
That helps you at nighttime.
Yeah, mine does. Oh yeah, mine goes to about there, I think. So it does kind of calm down. But yeah, look at that. I can.
And notice you can schedule it to change at certain times of the day too, like just before bed.
Turn on now.
As you're winding down for the night, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I have my hours set here. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Wes says blue blocker glasses too. I have that on my glasses now, and it's really helped.
Yeah, I do have a pair of those that I wear all the time when I'm working to block out the blue.
Mike disagrees. I just want to point that out that Mike disagrees.
We accept your agree. The reality is how good are your eyes? If you're like me,
right.
Your eyes in bad shape, it's not the best for you.
Yellow is Bill Murray. Yellow's best for eyes. Yeah.
Everybody's individual.
That's right.
Yes.
That's why we're talking about preferences, right?
I agree, Bill. Definitely.
Mike's still our friend.
We still like you.
We won't hold it against you. That's right.
We like Mike. It's okay.
All right. I do like to use Classic now that I think about it. I think it really highlights things really nicely. It uses the blue on the icons. I think that might be part of Windows too. But try some. All right. What else we got? Let's go one more thing here under architectural, and really nothing there that we're going to mess with. Edit behaviors. I just want to see if there's anything that I really want to point out. Turn your start end indicators on. This is always really nice. Once you get more used to Chief, when you draw a line and you start here, that's going to be your start, and that's your end over here. That becomes relevant when you want to adjust the size in a manual dialog box. You'll say lock the start and extend the end. So that's what showing those, that you know where you're coming from.
Helpful.
It really is.
Show us again where those go back to that and show us again where you can switch up your marquee selections. Show us where you can change up your marquee selections on your toolbar.
I haven't done that yet. Oh, that's over here.
That was the next thing on that list after.
Yeah, that's I've got them over here on mine because actually I think that's where they are on everybody's toolbar. On Chief's, this is Chief's toolbar. The extended toolbar is what I'm showing on my screen. That's what I use all the time. Generally, I always leave mine 99.9% of the time when I'm in intersected objects. When I just draw a line over anything, it's going to select it. That's the way I like it. Behaviors. We expect all of you guys to behave yourselves. Although I don't think this has anything to do with that. Let's see. This has to do with well, it's not the snap properties. That snap properties are these items over here. That's what these are. Object snaps. Behaviors are these items right here. That how you are pulling things and moving things. You got your create a filleted corner. Is that what that one is? But this is the general default one here. No, that's concentric jump right there. Here's your resize, and here's your filleted corners.
Concentric jump is you can do some cool tricks with that.
You can. Yeah, I use that all the time. And the letters, the C key is also your concentric jump key.
If you set your concentric jump distance to 3 inches and then concentrically resize your windows, you'll have 6-inch increment window resizes. It'll snap.
Exactly. Yep. You can, yeah, there's nothing like that in Windows. Cabinets, you can set a jump. So when your defaults and you're in your cabinets, you can set that up. That's always been there under general cabinet. So I've changed mine to 1, but you could set your increments to 3, which is pretty standard. Concentric does the same thing with everything else. So whatever you change that concentric jump to when you resize things, you'll be snapping at that size. All right, one more thing and we got to go. I don't use material list. Reset options is kind of a big one. Well, actually, I'll do 2 more things. Your video card, if you want to know which card you have. So I'm running a 3080 Ti. Works okay. Wish I would have waited to buy it, but because now they're a lot cheaper. I don't know when the 4000 series is coming out. Have you heard anything? Anybody?
They're due to do an announcement on it this month.
Okay, so 4000 series is supposed to, I've heard they're supposed to be twice as fast as 3000 series. So we'll see. And then lastly,
I haven't even paid off this computer yet. Not ready to buy a new one yet.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'll be buying the 4090 right away, so I'll let you guys know how it goes.
You have that on a laptop or your desktop?
Desktop.
Okay. Oh, talk is not until 2023 now.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. So
That's perfect. My computer will be paid off. Then I can go get a new one.
All right. Lastly, the reset options is it's nice to know where this is, because if something gets messed up, your toolbar gets messed up, something just messed up in your screen, you can reset your preferences. If you click this button right here, it's going to reset all of your preferences. But sometimes your toolbars get messed up. You just need to reset those. Sometimes you want to reset your side windows. Just click those and that'll reset your library and your project browser and your layer sets on the right side. Dialog boxes, sometimes they get messed up. Reset message boxes. So you might have turned some message boxes off that you want to have back on. Do that. And templates and search folders and reset migration. So if you decided you wanted to migrate, if you had an older version and you loaded Chief and you didn't migrate some things, you could go here and then when you restart the program, you'll be able to choose what you want to migrate from your old version. So that's what this stuff is. So, all right. And there you go. That's a lot of stuff about preferences. We could probably spend another show just on some other things in there, but hopefully those things will help you guys out quite a bit. You guys want to add anything?
No, it's great. I really appreciate it. It's always good to kind of go through that again.
Yeah. Preferences they get overlooked a lot. People open Chief, start using it. They don't understand what these things mean. It's like, why would they want to change them if you don't understand it? So
I'll say one thing. I know a few people that have been having issues with their wrists, and then I encourage them to do a couple different things for position. But another thing I say is turn up your DPI or polling rate on your mouse, which makes your mouse move a lot faster. And to kind of combat that, you can, in preferences, change your edit handle tolerance by a few pixels so that it's easier for you to select things.
So you're not moving your wrist so often much.
right.
Yeah, so you don't have to move your hand as much. It takes a little time to get used to the faster polling speed, but changing your edit handle tolerance will help you still, locate the right things on the screen.
So
Getting a space mouse will help a lot with that too, because you're going to stop scrolling pretty much.
Yeah,
And that's what hurt my wrist, is scrolling.
Is that the mouse you have, Renee?
yeah.
Can you
And
hold
then
yours?
question on that.
Can
How
you
long?
show
do you
yours? Hold
set
yours
it
up, Renee. Can you hold your space mouse up in front of the camera?
Yeah. I have the mini guy, and then look at John's screen. He's got the big one.
Yeah.
And then how long did it take for you to set it up?
Getting used to it, maybe about a month. I mean, not that long, a couple hours, but getting used to it takes about a month for me, I think.
Yeah, they have a object that you can move stuff around on with their software and stuff. So I did that for about a week, and then I pretty much had it.
That's good.
And I reversed the direction, the settings for the joystick for me, because it's more intuitive that way for me. So there's those kinds of options you can do too. So if anybody gets one and they want some pointers on it, I'm more than willing to help. I'm sure Renee would help. Dan even has one now.
I do.
Yeah,
Mine's corded, but here, I'll do my camera here and show you. My cord is tied up, so I can't move it. There it is. See, I've got the one with the screen and extra buttons, and
oh yeah, he's got the big boy. Yeah.
So
that's the one I had up until a couple of months ago, and then I wanted something without a cord because I move it around so much.
Oh, sure.
So I sold that one to one of my coworkers.
Oh,
and
okay.
I got the one I have now. So
that makes sense. The wireless, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. If I had to do it again, I'd probably just get the one Renee has, because I don't use the buttons enough. If all I did all day long was draw on Chief, I would have this thing mastered. But I do a lot of other things. So Chief is not my all day. I do a lot of things. Yeah, and get a better primary mouse too. There's a lot of good mice out there that you can get now. They have buttons on them, and if you have, when I first got into Chief, coming out of the field, running my construction company, and God, my wrist was just dying from the mouse movement. I got a pen mouse. So if you're having troubles, look up pen mouse. You get little mice that you work like you're writing with a pencil. And you're not doing all of this all day. You're just doing like a pencil. It saved my thing. And then once I was better, I got back into using a regular mouse. So that really helped a lot. Some people use the trackball. Some people a few people I know use the touchpad to do all of their drawing.
They have a device out that I've used quite a bit of, which is it's a full long roller that's at the base of your keyboard, so you never leave your hands from the keyboard.
Yeah,
that one's kind of wild.
Yeah, so there's a lot of options. So whatever works for you. So good luck with that. So anyway, so thanks for being here, everyone. It's been a pleasure as usual. We'll see you next Friday for another third week. This will be our third Friday of the month. It's a 5-week month, or 5 Friday month. So we're going to get an extra week off. Maybe we might throw something in. We'll see. Yeah, you never know. It's a joy of doing what we do. We can kind of figure it out as we go. But yeah, let us know if you're interested. Go ahead and fill out the good old waitlist form, and we'll keep you informed as we progress forward here. All right. Anybody else got anything else? We good?
No. That was really great. It's nice seeing all of you.
Yes.
Nice meeting Kenny.
Yeah. Kenny was out there with us.
Kenny
Crocker.
Guys on the list. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys there. It was really cool to see everybody. So,
yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks.
Halloween